Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Friday Night Sports. Dan Grava and Lori DuPont as we've taken a look at local action. Big games in 8-5A as we have a ton of teams in our area in that particular district. Terrebonne High School, 2 losses in the district, no room for error. They pretty much have to win out if they want a district championship. Central Lafourche, 1 loss early in the slot to South Terrebonne. Come back and defeat Thibodaux last week, so they're coming in this game on a high. It's in Central Lafourche. We go out there to the stadium and we find out what happens. Unfortunately, a lot of the footage we have is from very early in this game, and it was all Central Lafourche, and it was a lot. That young man right there, Kobe Savoy, we talk about him every week. He's really tough. Rendell Clark on the run. Nice run up the middle, and he evades some tackles, gets down deep inside the 10-yard line of Terrebonne High School. This is really early in the game. Within the first 2 minutes of the game, Rendell Clark again busts through the line. He scores. Central Lafourche goes up real early in this game, 7-0. This field was in pretty good shape. I know we got a good rain last night, but the field dried out pretty good. Coach Hill always wanted to play on a dry field, and he got his chances tonight. Tyler Thacker on the handoff from Dominique Matthews out of the Wildcat. And then their regular quarterback right there, Mike Williams, misses on the connection to Roy Williams. They have to punt. Central Lafourche gets the ball back. They got it back inside their 10-yard line, and they go on a 91-yard drive. Not only that, they overcame some big penalties in this particular series, and they moved the ball right down the field. And you're starting to wonder at this point what can happen in this game. Byron Thomas, this was a terrific run. He gets down deep into Terrebonne territory, doesn't quite get into the end zone, but gets down to about the 5-yard line. Savoy hands it off to Brian Thomas, and Brian Thomas works his way in on 3rd down. So 14-0 early in this game, and Chris Carter, our videographer, had to move on to the next game. And I'm not quite sure why we're showing that board right there. But what happens is Terrebonne turns it on. Starting in about the middle of the second quarter, Terrebonne starts scoring, gets things together. In the second half, Terrebonne's defense totally dominated Central Lafourche. They started sending guys, and they just created havoc in the backfield. And what happened basically is Savoy couldn't get going. They were in his face before he ever could get balls off in the backfield, and Terrebonne goes on to win 21-17, so a huge win for Terrebonne High School. Central Lafourche now drops to 2 losses in the district. So you got South Lafourche up there going, great guys, y'all just go on beating up on each other down there.
It's going to be tough. I think South Lafourche is definitely in the driver's seat, and I told you that in the break. I think that they the South Lafourche of the old. I think Coach Farmer's got them in the right direction. I mean, they're going to be tough to beat.
And at the score at the bottom, Bruley, this is non-district 16, South Terrebonne 0. South Terrebonne having lots of problems on offense right now. Couldn't get a score. As a matter of fact, the first score in that game was Bruley scoring on a safety. So that certainly knocks South Terrebonne's power points as they try to get into the playoffs. Interesting thing, South Terrebonne's only got 1 loss in district. South Lafourche's got 2. Now Terrebonne's got 2, Thibodaux's got 2, Central Lafourche's got 2, and Central Lafourche and Thibodaux still haven't played South Lafourche. It is my understanding that if you win your district, no matter if you're a co or if it's 4 teams in your district that all tie, you do get in the playoffs.
District champs automatically in, and I think that's a good rule. I think it is to be district champions, and it's one of those deals where it could go either way. But to be a district champion, you deserve to be in the playoffs.
It's not a deal where you automatically get that home game, though. It's still
no. The power rating is definitely fair. District champion, sometimes if your district is not that strong and you're district champion, you're still in, but you might not have a home game.
The interesting thing is, too, now, and this is a big if because it's like you just said, South Lafourche is rolling right now, but South Lafourche still has to see Thibodaux, and, you know, we keep harping on this, but obviously Trevon Reed is a special player in our area, and he'll probably come back later in the year. So that game could be an interesting game. Central Lafourche had South Lafourche the last game of the year, and I think it's homecoming for Central Lafourche. If South Lafourche happens to lose 2 and then Terrebonne wins out, they would defeat South Terrebonne. South Terrebonne would have 2. Terrebonne would have 2. Everybody would have 2. You would have 5 teams in that district with 2 losses.
If you remember last week, Gary sat right here and said the same thing. There's still a lot of football left.
A lot of football.
And he's right. You know, there's a lot of things that can still happen in that district.
Well, it's Truly amazing, truly amazing. And I got to tell you, while I'm thinking about it right off the top of my head, a credit goes out to you guys, even when it was 1-4 early on. I would imagine y'all never had your head down very much because power rankings, you looked at Vanderbilt Catholic in the power rankings, all y'all had to do was pull out the sheet and say, guys, look where we're at. Look how tough you played Hornville. And, you know, I got to tell you, I sat up here and said, oh, Coach DuPont, what you playing Hornville for? But looking back at it, and you said, y'all moved the ball against Hornville.
We did. We had some success. And we learned how to get it in the end zone now. But against good football teams like Hornville, we moved it, but we didn't get it in. But going back to the power rating, you know, why you play so much of a tough district or pre-district schedule, it comes back to help you in the long run. If you can stay healthy, you know, if you can stay healthy and get through your district. Our pre-district tonight was 4-1. The only loss came with Assumption. All our other teams won, and that's a plus for us. I mean, because you got to realize when you get to district, everybody's 50-50 in district. So your pre-district gives you all your power rating points to make you move up. And right now, Hornville, St. Charles, I mean, Lutcher, I mean, they're giving us plenty of points. And we need for them to keep winning, not against us no more when we play Lutcher. We want to beat Lutcher, but we pulling for Hornville, we pulling for St. Charles, we pulling for E.D. White. That's our allies now.
Is it? Down here, I guess in the Bayou District, and even 4A, when you're talking about District 8 4A, do you think you brought a little bit of a different mindset being at West St. John where y'all were perennial powers? Because you always, I know back in the day when I was at South Terrebonne, you played 5A schools. You were hunkering to play some of those teams. So is it maybe a little bit different mindset that you're thinking, you know what, I know a lot of these teams might shy away from the Destrahans and the Hornvilles, but I'm going to do this strategically where I'm not going to go get beat up, but I'm going to do it strategically and maybe do it like I did it at West St. John?
Well, when I got the job, we had 4 of our pre-districts already set. I got to admit that. The only team that we didn't have set was the 5th plan date, and then we didn't have much to choose from. It could have been Rummel, could have been Notre Dame or Crowley, could have been West Monroe, could have been St. James or Hornville. And we figured Hornville was the team to go with, you know, with power rating and what we figured they could do. And hopefully we could play with them. And we did play with them in spurts, but Hornville's going to give us a lot of points.
Yeah, I think so in the long run. As tonight they smashed Destrehan, so wasn't even much of a game. Thibodaux High School struggling as of late, 2 losses in a row. They go out to Assumption High School. They need to get a win. If they don't get a win against Assumption, it's pretty much no district title or not even a thought of a district title. And of course, we talked about Trevon Reed. He is out again this week. We got some highlights from out there as Trent Grenier, who I think's done a pretty admirable job at the quarterback position, hands off. And I have Trent Grenier hands off to Trent Grenier. I don't think that happened. I think that was to Jeremiah Johnson. Here we have Trent Grenier again. He hands it off. Again, it says to Trent Grenier. That was to, I'm going to just look at this. That was to Duncan, and he bowls over a young man who really can move a pile, 235 pounds at the fullback position. At halftime of this game, Thibodaux was up 14-0, so pretty much had it in control as their defense doing a good job. Drew Williamson on the extra point. There you see, 131. And the score is 7-0. They kick off deep to Assumption. Assumption tries some skullduggery. Coming around left in right there is number 8, and that's Jordan Bergeron. This is Darius Bell around right in, tries to pick up some yards right there. Assumption's not void of athletes, and I went to see y'all play them when y'all played at Nichols. They do some things well.
I have a lot of great skilled people, a lot of speed. If there would be a weakness over there with Sean right now, I seem to think would be in the trenches.
Yeah, I think so too, up front. You're right. Thibodaux 27, Assumption 0, so no problems for Thibodaux High School. Lay right back in the mix, and there's that score we talked about where it's nice that you get a PowerPoint 48-10, and unfortunately for Thibodaux High School, they don't. So it works in your favor at Vanderbilt with a Hornville winning. They played Destrehan early in the year, and it certainly doesn't work in their favor too much right there. So that's pretty much a look at all of District 8 5A, but when we come back, we have your next opponent, Morgan City, taking on Helen Cox, who you also have down the line, so you get a little precursor to that. We'll do that after we look at these messages.